Rain spoke in sheets against the front window as I stepped into the clockmaker's shop. The air thick with oil and copper dust. The final commission sat under a halo of lamplight, all gears and glass, a timepiece that looked like it could swallow a man and count him back out in old coin. The clock wasn't mine to own or loan. It was a delivery, a message, a dare. A mysterious client had commissioned it and then vanished. And the clockmaker who built it, Alaric Vane, had disappeared with the clock, as if he'd woven himself into the mechanism and walked away with the thread. I am a detective who specializes in the strange, the technical oddities. The city gives us its old bones, and I listen for the creaks between them. Tonight, the bones are ticking, and I am listening for what they say about who we really are when time starts to run backwards. The clock hums before I touch it, a soft inhalation of brass. A lid unlatches with a copper sigh, and a network of tiny compartments greets me like a maze designed to be walked through, not merely observed. The first panel rotates to reveal a slim, dark corridor of brass lining, as if the clock had opened a secret hallway to a different city. The chimes begin not a single note, but a sequencethry, 715, Niniach number pointing toward a location around town. The city, I've learned, is a map if you know how to listen to its hours and its echoes. The ticking that once felt decorative now carries burden, like a heartbeat Ure not meant to ignore. Alaric's apprentice, a lean man named Jonah, eyes the clock with a mix of reverence and fear. He left a note in a book of mechanical puzzles. If the clock speaks, you must listen twice. The clockmaker's workshop has always smelled of warm metal and rain-sodden leather. The rain outside makes the coil of the city feel almost intimate, like a throat clearing before a confession. Jonah taps at a notch on the edge of a panel, as if listening for a response the clock hasn't given yet. His hands shake. He won't admit it, but he's scared that finishing the commission means something else entirely, some promise Alaric made, some vow he couldn't keep, some debt he owed to a clockwork memory. The first chime leads me to the old train station, a building you can still feel in your bones, even when the trains stopped decades ago. A brass key is tucked into a statue's hollowed palm, a weight of years and wind that seems almost ceremonial. The second location pulls me toward the cathedral, where the organ pipes loom like a forest of metal trees. Behind a pew, a hidden drawer yields a folded photograph of a young girl with hair the color of dusk and eyes the color of rain on steel. The third chime points me to a riverfront library where a shelf tilts and reveals a thin diorite handwriting is Alaric's, but the dates run backward, like someone trying to undo what time had done to him. The diary speaks in a code of margins and margins of margins. The entries circle around a single name, Elia. My breath catches. Elia is not just a name here. It's a person, a presence, a purpose. Dinosaurs in this work are not dinosaurs at all, but the heavy, undeniable worries that survive long after you think you've solved the riddle. What if the clock is not a map, but a trap? What if finishing the clock means losing something you never knew you cared about until it was already gone? What if the client is not a client at all, but a jolt in the spine of Timesomion who knows you better than you know yourself and uses a clock to pull truth from you the way a fisherman pulls a net from a quiet sea? The city's whispering walls answer in reverberations. I am here to see whether you still believe in the thing you're chasing when the chase starts chasing you back. The fourth location, the library shelf that slides open with a tired manual click hints at a letter, a confession, a bond broken, and then sewn anew with threadbare, stubborn love. By the final chime, the city has become a living map of memory, and I am left with a last rotating panel that will not stay still. I lean over the clock, the metal warm at my wrists, listening as the gears settle into a rhythm that feels almost like a breath I am not allowed to take. The panel slides shut on the inside, revealing a hidden compartment that has no business existing in a thing built to tell time. Inside sits a brass card, etched with a name I've learned to fear and then to hope for. Elia Vane. A letter rests beneath it, a single sentence written in Alaric's careful hand. Elia is the one who will finish what I started, as she always promised she would. The realization lands in a way that hurts and heals at the same time. The client who hired me, who asked me to trace the steps of a man's obsession, isn't a distant enigma after all. The client is Elia. Elia is not a rumor or a rumor's daughter, but a living fuse to the clockmaker's deepest vow. A noise at the doorway doors, not yet fully close straddles, and a shadow steps into the shop's lamp glare. The shadow speaks in a voice I recognize from childhood, from the first time I was told a bedtime story about a clock that could count the hours of a person's life. The face isn't old as the years would suggest. It is known because I have learned to listen for it in the language of gears. Elia steps forward, the brass card catching the light, and with that moment, the room tilts toward a verdict I can't afford to pretend I didn't see. The client was never the stranger on the invoice. The client is the clockmaker's own daughter, the one he measured time for, and who vanished into the city's memory years ago. She has come to reclaim the time they owe each other, and the only way to claim it is to see the father's work through to its end. The 5-second moment arrives with the silence that follows a held breath. The clock's final chime rings once more, a single, precise note that seems to hold all the city's secrets in its metal throat. Elia's eyes meet mine, and the name on the brass card becomes the name on her lips. Elia. The truth sits between us like the most stubborn gear in a machinist clock, did not bring us here to die or to conquer, but to meet, to acknowledge that the long game was never me chasing a mystery, but Elia reclaiming a family long believed lost. And in the stillness that follows the last note, I understand that the greatest puzzle this clock ever told was not how to locate a city's forgotten corners, but how to find a person you thought you'd never see again and call them home. The 5 seconds end where we began, with Elia standing in the light of the clock's final truth. And I understand that she is the client, and we are the ones who must finish the story together.